My name is Dr. Daniel D.T. Nestel. I joined the U.S. Navy on February 3, 1862. I'm currently the acting assistant surgeon serving aboard the USS Clifton, a gunboat in Admiral Farragut's fleet. From the deck of the Clifton, I recorded the events of April 24, 1862, as best I could during the heat of battle with pencil and paper.
Nothing that walked could get through our swamps. Nothing afloat could pass the forts.
That was a false sense of security prevalent in New Orleans, but it was about to change. Flag Officer David Glasgow Farragut and his 17 vessels assembled at the head of the passes on April the 8th, 1862, and sealed off the lower Mississippi Delta tributaries. His next challenge was to pass between Forts Jackson and St. Philip, upriver, some 70 miles south of New Orleans. The two forts formed a gauntlet that could blanket a 3-mile stretch of river with continuous cannon fire. It was a looming hell. Farragut planned to first soften the forts with a mortar bombardment. His foster brother, David Dixon Porter, commanded 22 additional gunboats, actually schooners, all but one equipped with a massive 13-inch mortar. On April 18th, Porter began moving them into place. The first division of 7 schooners, led by Lieutenant Watson Smith, moved into position along the southwestern bank, just behind a screen of woods. The lead boat was about 2,850 yards from Fort Jackson and 3,600 yards from Fort St. Philip. Smith opened with 216-pound mortar bombs before the other 2 divisions even came to anchor. The 3rd division of 8 boats, led by Lieutenant K. Randolph Breeze, fell into line directly behind Smith's 1st division. Each boat had an observer tied near the top of the mast to peer over the trees and help direct the mortar fire. The recoil from the 13-inch mortar was so violent that the men aloft could barely hold on. The 2nd division of 6 boats, led by Lieutenant Walter Queen, settled alongside the northeast bank and had an unobstructed view of both forts. Queen's mortars ripped into Fort Jackson's parapets, about 3,680 yards out. The fort's gunners blasted the 2nd Division's lead boats with their long guns, inflicted damage, and caused some casualties. At sunset, Porter ceased fire and moved the 2nd Division to the sheltered side of the river. That was a mistake, since their mortars had already set fire to the citadel and the barracks and threatened the fort's magazines. The mortar barrage continued for 5 more days, with uncertain results. Farragut had been ordered by Secretary Wells to reduce the forts and not try to operate against New Orleans before seizing them. After several reconnaissances, Farragut decided to do exactly that, but he would leave Porter and the bomb boats downstream from the forts to batter them into submission, with the help of General Butler and his troops, who had arrived the evening prior, through the swamps. Farragut's decision to attack had been made. He would pass the forts and live with the consequences, if he lived at all. He wrote to his wife,
"I have now attained what I have been looking for all my life, a flag. All that is necessary to complete the scene is victory. If I die in the attempt, it will only be what every officer has to expect. He who dies in doing his duty to his country and at peace with his God has played out the drama of life to the best advantage."
There was one more obstacle. The rebels had constructed a barrier that spanned the river in front of Fort Jackson. It was 8 dismasted schooners, joined together with chains across the bows and amidships, all anchored to the river bottom. Farragut divided his fleet into 3 divisions. They would run the gauntlet in the darkness of the early morning, April 24, 1862.